Good morning, everyone. And I will say for this episode of the Soloing Every Gauntlet in Wizard101 series, other than this intro portion, present me won't be present for the actual gameplay, so I'll do some post commentary type of stuff. For the most part, it'll be a pretty hands-off, chill kind of vibe for this one and maybe for the next few, and that's just because of time constraints. But of course, let us go through the fights in this dungeon, the cheats that are going to be there, the potential strategies I'm going to use, and honestly, the Great Clock. This is called like the Great Clockwork Gauntlet. It's pretty low key. Like I honestly, when I think of the housing gauntlets in Wizard101, this one is close to last on the list. I usually don't remember this one at all, and seems like for good reason. There's just not that much to it. There's 4 fights. It looks like the first 2 are just regular mob fights. So you got a balance one and then a life one. And then we get to our 2 bosses. And so let's look at this first one, Lugs tier 6. Doesn't have a whole lot of health. Has some resist and some boost. But let's look at the cheats. So they have a late cheat, which doesn't really matter for us, but it does cast a mana burn. No feint, because it'll do a swap ward, which is kind of like the Rattlebones Exalted, or also the Shadow Rattlebones in Mirage. At the time, it'll do the swap. If you cast a Dispel, then he will cast a Cleanse, which, okay, so no feints and no cleanses. And then they also have a cheat cycle. At the beginning of the first round, they will cast a Tower Shield on themselves. If they're damaged by a spell, then he will interrupt cast another Tower Shield, unless will replace this Tower Shield when hit, unless he was hit during the 4th round. Okay. So I think he won't replace it if it's the 4th turn of the cheat cycle. If you use a spell to get rid of the Tower Shield, then he will just put another Tower Shield on him. At the end of the 3rd round, he'll say that, and then at the end of the 4th round, if he wasn't damaged, he will cheat cast a natural attack that does 700 damage and stuns. And then if he is damaged during the 4th round, he will not. But honestly, because he has 4,000 health, I think you just stack Pierce. So I think what I'm going to do is put on my Pierce deck, so I have 57% Pierce. Maybe even put on like a Pierce Blade and then just hit on like turn 2 or turn 3 with a Scarecrow. So that doesn't seem like too big of an issue. And then let's move on to the final boss, which I believe is Lucia. Looks like there's a few resists to the Elemental Schools and then boosted by the Spirit Schools. They do have Stormlord and Sirens and Raging Bull, which are pretty annoying. This guy does have Frost Giant, which is a little annoying. A-Bomb is alright, but let's look at the actual cheats. So we've got the same mana burn late cheat as Lugs does, which wouldn't be an issue. At the beginning of the first round, they will interrupt cast a Clockworker. If there are more than 2 wizards present, then she will continue summon Clockworks until her team is full. At the start of every 4th round, they will cast a Steel Charm that steals all blades from the wizard, and then a version of Steel Ward that will take our wards. No feint, so they will do a Cleanse Ward. And then if a trap is cast, then she'll interrupt cast a star spell that applies the following charm to her allies. So you basically just want to Frenzy or Bubble and then hit. So I think for this fight, it'll just be Frenzy Scarecrow. And then I'll probably pack a backup like Wobble Gong just in case. So while I have you here, let us pack the deck. So I think I'm just going to use this Pierce deck. And then we could probably for sure run a 7 card for this entire thing. So I think we only need 1 Epic, 1 Frenzy, Wobble Gong, Crow. It's 4. I mean, honestly, do we even need anything else? I don't know if we do. Let's see if I have... I don't think I have the Pierce Blade from... I think it's Avalon. I don't think I have that, so that's a little unfortunate. Maybe I have a TC of it. No. I guess what we could do is I will pack a Dead Zone, an extra enchant, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then pack maybe a Want It, 180. I think that does more than my Ghoul. So, oh, actually, you know what? No, instead of the Want It, we'll pack Reshuffle. Okay, so this is the deck. We have 7 cards. This honestly should be all we need for this gauntlet. So I guess I will see you guys in the post gauntlet commentary, and you'll be left with just gameplay me for now. Hey, this is future me after I did this gauntlet, and honestly, it was about as much as I expected. We're just gonna kind of skip through these first two fights because they were just regular minion fights. They were just one rounders. I just enchanted Wobble Gong, I got rid of them, and that was pretty much it. And then there was like, I wouldn't even call it a puzzle. I just had to hit 2 levers and then go up to the next stage, which is where we fight the first boss, which actually isn't a boss, it was just a regular mob, but they just had that cheat cycle. Honestly, this went about a lot worse than I expected. Yeah, you'll see in a couple seconds. But I double buffed thinking that it was going to be enough, and then he got an extra shield on him, which ruined my whole pierce plan because I was going to pierce through the whole shield and then, you know, do that cool thing. So when it came time to hit, as we can see now, I pierced through the entire death shield, but then there's 92% on that tower, and I did less than 1,000 damage to him. I got rid of the minion at least, that was nice, but yeah, that dude's still pretty much at full health. And honestly, just fast forwarding through the rest of this, it pretty much was just a waiting game. I got stunned. I just had to reshuffle, refrenzy, and then Wobble Gong, and then that would have been the end of it. So we kind of just had to get to that point. I wasn't super confident that a Wobble Gong without a frenzy was going to kill, so I wanted to be safe and then get that frenzy up, and it was going to give me back my Scarecrow. So this timing just kind of worked out with the way that it did. And then after that was the final boss, and honestly, that mob fight that we just watched was a lot harder than this fight was. This was just a flawless 2-round. It just came down to watching the animations and everything. But yeah, the game plan was pretty much the same. It was Frenzy, Scarecrow. I didn't have to bubble this time. I didn't have to use any backup hits. It was just a really smooth fight. And so as we can see, I just Frenzy into the Scarecrow. And with a crit, I just did like 8,000 or 9,000 damage, and it just killed. There was no shield shenanigan, there was no annoying stuns or anything. The final boss just kind of got wrecked. I didn't actually get anything from this gauntlet run. I think I got that pet, which looked kind of cool, but obviously I'm not going to use that for anything. But yeah, that's the end of this gauntlet. A not so notable one, so I'd maybe skip on it, but I hope you learned something, and I will see you guys in the next video.